What's up, everyone? All right, so in today's episode, I'm going to break down my trades from the morning. I'm sitting in the green, up over $43,000 on the day, and that changes the week in a big way. I was coming into the day here, up only $2,700 on the week. I was green on Monday, red on Tuesday, green on Wednesday, and I was red on Thursday until I recovered miraculously to be in the green by $4,700. So this week coming into today was basically a wash. And if you've been tuning in for the last few weeks, you know that last Thursday I also had a red day. So basically Thursday to Thursday made nothing. Was red, couple green days, red, couple green days. So flat pretty much, and I'll show you my metrics here. This is the calendar coming into today. So you could see here my P&L of $2,700 on the week. So $4,700 Monday, minus $12,000 Tuesday, $6,000 Wednesday, then $4,400 yesterday. And if we look just at recent for the last 30 days, you can see this nice kind of hot stretch there. But then this was the last 7 days. So, and I had said, these are the hardest days with trading. When you have a red day, 2 green days, and then you give it all back, 2 more green days, and then what, another red day? So I came in this morning feeling like I really have to take it slow. Now, I wore my lucky sweatshirt because I need all the luck that I could get. But I said, don't even open your trading software. Just have charts and scanners up. Because sometimes when I look at the trading software, I kind of get sucked in looking at the level 2. I start to see a couple orders going through. And in that moment, the setup looks good. Now, the setup might look good, but we can't forget about the context of the overall market. And if the overall market and the sentiment is really poor, then even a good looking setup that might be A quality won't react the same. That's very confusing. It's, it's like, I don't know. Have you ever seen those people that go outside in the Arctic in the very cold and they throw the water in the air and it turns to steam, it freezes, immediately because it's so cold. Well, you do the same thing in the summer and you're going to get scalded with hot water because nothing's going to happen, right? So you're doing the exact same thing, but in 2 different environments, you get completely different results. And it kind of feels that way with trading where in a colder market, you get tricked. You're like, I don't understand. This is a good quality stock. It's got a good news catalyst. Why isn't it working? The setup is the same. In fact, I could print out the chart. It's the exact same as the setup I took 2 weeks ago and had a big winner on. And the difference is the overall market. So with that said, as I sat down this morning, I was pretty content to not take any trades. I knew that this is, of course, going to be a long weekend. So, I didn't want to take a big loss going to the long weekend and then sit sort of mulling it over, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So I said to myself, don't even open my software. So this is basically sat down this morning and didn't open the broker, just opened my charts. And we had our first scanner alert on the high day momentum scanner came at 7:54 a.m. There was nothing between 4 a.m. and 7:54 that met the criteria for the scanner. That's how cold the market was. There was nothing on the scanners that was even remotely interesting. So I was like, all right, this is what it is. And part of me, when I looked at the scanners, when I was still in bed, I was like, oh, I'm still feeling under the weather. I didn't even want to get up. But at the same time, I said, you just never know. And if we end up getting a big move, I'm really going to be disappointed because it's been such a slow week. I can't afford to miss, the one good move that we get. And sure enough, we got one. I didn't expect it really, but we got one. So anyway, I came over here, sat down at my desk and everything. And if we go back to back to the beginning of the alerts. So the first alert was on MGRT. It's 13 million share float. Stock pops up. I looked at it and I said, this isn't going to work. Why? Because it made a big move yesterday right here with no news. Then I saw no news move. Oh, it's a Hong Kong company. Right. So typical. And this is just a bounce off the low. Now, the fact is yesterday it did go from $5 all the way up to 17, dropped down, popped back up, sold off. So it could give a bounce. How big of a bounce? Maybe 30%, 20%. So from 6 up to 8 or 9, maybe 10, maybe. but I just felt like the total upside potential on a dead cat bounce is limited. So it's really not worth it. So I said, nah, I'm just going to leave that alone. So didn't trade that one. And then MLEC hits the scanner at 8 a.m. Where was that? And then we had MTVA hit the scanner, but too cheap. No interest in that. Then MLEC hit the scanner, and I saw the news flame. And I saw, of course, it's a low flow. I saw the volume was pretty light. And initially I thought, well, it meets the 5 pillars, except for the volume being a little light, but it's probably not going to work because the market's been so slow. Located in Luxembourg, so international company, that means it's blocked on Thinkorswim, as I expected it would be, unless you've gone and asked them to unrestrict stocks, which many people have, and you can, but not everyone has. So you ask them, and they send you an agreement that trading these is higher risk, and then you can trade it. But in any case, I think, unfortunately, so just this is a little bit of a tangent, but I think unfortunately, until they make it easy to trade these, so like right now, MLEC, if I click buy ask, nothing happens. You're just like, what's wrong with my order? This software is stupid. It doesn't work. You don't know what's going on. You've got no clue. You're like, well, I don't know. That's weird. You go over to monitor and you'll see all these positions. It says rejected. Opening transaction for the security must be placed with a broker. Contact us. So that's annoying. But they do something similar with Fidelity, except they say they have a big pop-up that says this stock is restricted. If you want to trade it, you have to click here, and then it opens a little window. It gives you a little agreement. You complete the agreement, and then you're good. So like, I'll just show you, for instance. So this, I click buy. Now I've got to cancel it out. And then I turn this on. See how it gives you this pop-up right here? This little pop-up right in there. So that pop-up, is basically what I would want to see. Once they make a pop-up like that just says, hey, you're trading high-risk stocks. Do you want to approve it or not approve it? Then I would go ahead and do it because it's very easy. But until then, when a stock is restricted at Thinkorswim, it's going to hurt volume because Thinkorswim is such a big broker. So that was something I was aware of, and I thought, well, that might also be a problem. But in any case, I looked at the daily chart, and I recognized that this is a stock I'm already familiar with. This is not the first time we've seen this ticker. It had popped up back here in January, had a big day, has popped up a couple other times since then. And so as it was curling up here, I thought, well, it's already popped since the reverse split, but, let's see what it wants to do. So it pops up initially to about 8 something. Back this up right here. From $6 up to $8.50, and I didn't trade it there. I wasn't really sure. It sells off back down to $6.50, bounces up to $7.50, pulls back, and right around here I said, I'm going to open my platform. I want to look at the level 2 on this. And so then I pulled up my platform and I opened the level 2, and I was like, I want to kind of get a read from this. And someone said, that big seller is already coming out, and we've been seeing these probably one trader or trading firm that's been using spoof orders. So they've been putting big orders on the offer to scare people away. 18, 22,000 share, kind of pretty consistent share size. They put the order a couple cents above the current price, scares people away, the stock drops. And so some folks in the chat room said, because they'd already looked at the level 2, that seller is already on this. And I thought, nah, that's tricky. But I was watching level 2, and I was marking out the high a day. So I said, well, this is our high a day here on this, about 849. So let's see what this does. It pulls back again, and it comes back up right here, then dips down again. And right here, it broke. And so I actually got in there, and I punched the order, and I got in. I got filled at 794. Let me go back on this order. So 797. 786. So I was adding kind of right as it was breaking out right here. As it was breaking the high of this candle right here, which was about 790. So as it curled up right here, I was like, okay, this looks good. And it immediately rips to $9 a share. I'm up a full $1 a share. And so then what do? I add on the micro pullback right there, and it goes up to a high of 11. So I added I don't know, remember if it was like right here. But anyways, I added on this micro pullback. It ends up going all the way up to 11. And I was kind of like, that was crazy. I didn't really expect that. So, that was just it was fast. It happened really quickly. And so essentially in a matter of, from 8:11 to, 8:12 in 3 minutes, I made $43,000. That was it. That was the whole thing. So I got in right here. I added right here, and I took profit up here more on the red candle as it started to come back down. In this moment, I was like, okay, here we go. And so I actually did add a little higher. My highest add on this, let's see, I added at 1065, 1042. I thought, maybe this thing was going to go straight up, even higher. And it didn't. Well, it went to 11, but I thought it was going to keep going higher. Anyways, I sold at 1014 as it came back down and 1009. So I didn't actually capture as much as I could have, but I did pretty well on it. So then it dips down a little more than I'd like, comes back up. Sort of, I'm watching it here, and I said, I want to see it get back over $10, that whole dollar. And if it can hold over 10, then maybe we get a retest of 11. But it couldn't do that. It came back up here just for a second, then it flushed, and I didn't trade that. And then it rips right here, but I'd gotten up and I was refilling my cup of tea. Missed this micro pullback, and it goes up to 1250. So basically the same exact thing that happened right here, except this one I missed. So I didn't trade that one at all, unfortunately. Then it dips down again, comes back up here, and we get this sort of longer breakout right there. And we come back to the high a day of about $13. Then we double top and reject, and then we've been selling off since then. Now 13 is kind of interesting because on the daily chart, you could see at 1296, we had the high of this candle right here. So that created that upside resistance right at that level. So, at the end of the day, this one could have done really well in a hotter market, but with overall sentiment still being a little bit cooler, traders were a bit more cautious to buy. Shorts were a little more confident to sell it short, and that affected the supply-demand imbalance. And so, in total, this ends up being a fantastic day. I'm grateful for it. And, if we look at my P&L here, let's see, where is this? Just for the last, let's see, let me just look at the last, we'll just look at the month of February. So overview, calendar. So, just done recent. So, looking at this here, I don't know why this is kind of like not zoomed in right there. It is. So, this was all a wash, right? Basically red, 2 green days, red, 2 green days. And I was worried about today being another red day and going into the weekend feeling really frustrated. So I was conservative, as I kind of sat down this morning. But then we had something that popped up, and all of a sudden we had a good setup, and boom, today's going to end up being like up here around something like that, $43,000 green day. And that's great. As long as I can avoid the $30,000, $40,000 red days. Small days like this, small green, small red, it's a bummer that I kind of missed that week. Didn't get much for it. Had another little section in here where it was a little bit slower, not quite as bad. But then all of a sudden here you could see where things really heated up. That was with the prediction market catalyst, and that gave us a 2-week stretch of some really hot days where my slowest day was 6,000 and the best day was 86. So, and this one was 81. So now it cooled off a little bit, and then all of a sudden here today, up 43,000. So the only bummer, I suppose, is it's at the end of the week. If this was Monday, then I would be really excited for tomorrow. I'd be like, all right, Monday just broke the ice with a huge green day. So now I've got a big cushion going into, the new week. But, that's not the case. It's Friday. So, all right. And it's Friday the 13th at that. So finishing here the week up around 45,000. So sitting up around 125,000 on the month with 2 weeks left, but the markets are closed on Monday. So President's Day. So we'll have to, make the most of the rest of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And, hopefully we can have a decent week, but I don't know if today's momentum is really going to carry over all the way till Tuesday morning. So I think Tuesday is going to have to kind of stand on its own. But, hopefully, I don't know, maybe hopefully traders feel a little bit more confident on Monday after this, or Tuesday, after this move that we saw today, and shorts maybe are a little more cautious. And then if we have a couple other decent catalysts at the beginning of the week, that could give us a good start. But no doubt it is a slower start to the month than January. January, I had a couple really good weeks here. So February is definitely straggling, but I'm sitting in pretty good shape here. So it'll be around 400. Let's see, 400 plus 80, so 480 plus 40 today, about $520,000 on the year, and that's been in 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. So, making $500,000 in 26 days, that's pretty solid. And again, that's from a starting balance at the beginning of the year of $100,000. So if we go down to my broker statements here, so let's see, we'll go to 2026. So started January with 96,000 in the account. So the account's up about 5x here already, which is a great start to the year. And this is the 10th year of trading in this account, which initially began with $583.15 back in January of 2017. So this is that was the beginning, $583.15. Oops, sorry, drew over part of it. And yeah, since then I've just continued growing this account. I've moved it from different brokers a couple times, but I've had this Lightspeed account now since May of 2017. And so, I've grown the account, and I take the profit out periodically and transfer it for long-term investing and things like that. Soon I'll have my 2025 audit uploaded. That'll be the independent accountant's report of my profits in this challenge, and so it'll include 2025. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trading years, all independently audited. And so this is the 10th year here, 2026. So anyway, it's still early in the year. It's exciting. I'm still, trying to grow the account. And I don't have a specific end goal. It's just every day I show up and trade. But, resetting the account back to $100,000 at the beginning of this year, which is similar to what I had done in January of 2024, and then grew that account to a total profit of 1.8 million. I want to see if I can beat that, if I can beat 1.8 million this year. So I'm already almost a third of the way there. So I think I have a good shot at it, but we'll see what happens. So any case, for those of you guys tuning in on YouTube, just side note, we do have our President's Day sale going on right now. That will be ending next week. So if you're interested, come on over, check it out. You could get a discount on our Warrior Starter or our Warrior Pro membership. All right, so with that, I hope you guys enjoy the long weekend. Those of you guys that become members, you can spend the weekend studying up, and you'll be ready for Tuesday morning. All right, so with that, I will see you guys on Tuesday. A reminder, as always, that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, and there's no guarantee you'll find success, whether you trade with me or you learn on your own. So you might as well manage your risk, take it slow, and practice in a simulator before putting real money on the line. All right, with that, have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Tuesday.